Let's go ahead and get things started here. So a few reminders before we get started with today's webinar, which as a reminder, in case you're forgetting why you're here today, is scaling your business while meeting owners and guests' expectations. So the delicate balance between meeting guest expectations as well as keeping your owners happy while you're managing their properties. Joining me today is the founder and CEO of Vintory, Brooke Fouts. Vintory is a partner of Guesty's that helps pair property managers with potential owners for properties that they want to partner with. And then with us is a property manager himself, Joseph Kitt, the COO of Bright Host, one of Guesty's customers. That's here to talk about kind of his approach to the balance of owner needs and guest needs. As an overview of what we'll be doing today, I'm going to give a couple of quick opening words, just reviewing some data that we've seen in the recent season from AirDNA and some other places. And then we'll jump right into the presentation that Brooke and Joseph have built out together on scaling your business while meeting owners and guest expectations, as well as giving a run through of how Vintory works and how you can utilize it as a property manager to kind of take your business to the next level. And then lastly, we'll go into the panel discussion. We'll be answering some pre-created questions as well as questions from the audience that are submitted. So jumping right into the data here as our quick introduction, I wanted to look at data from the recent summer season and kind of run through what that's looked like compared to previous years. So the US short-term rental market hit record numbers of available listings this year. Across the US, there was a record 1.4 million available short-term rental listings, which is up 23% from last year, and an increase of 7% since pre-pandemic levels. So we are fully bounced back from where we were before, the whole wonderful global experience we all had, and now we are on the rise. Across the pond in Europe, the short-term rental market is also seeing an influx of new inventory, up 14% from last year, but still 11% shy of where we were at pre-pandemic levels. So there's still room to bounce back there. Nightly rates are on the up and up, with a slight increase in the States from last year, 3% and 1% in Europe, but a much larger jump from where we were at pre-pandemic levels, 23% increase from 2019 in the States and 16% in Europe. Similar trend that we're seeing, or actually, sorry, not a similar trend that we're seeing in occupancy. While ADR is on the increase, occupancy is a little bit down from where we saw last year, a drop of 4% in the States compared to 2021, but up 7% from 2020, which is to be expected based on the pattern of bookings that we saw during the pandemic in the height. In Europe, we're actually up a little bit, 4% since 2021 to 76%. Moving right along, there's a couple of market trends here that we're keeping an eye on. Usually we, in the past year, we've been looking at digital nomads, and that's been the real focus of a lot of what is the type of business persona we're trying to target. We're starting to see different trends emerge as the debate on the digital nomad kind of continues, but things that we were able to really get clear identifiers on here were wellness travel is on the rise. Wellness travel is referring to a kind of luxury trip to like a 5-star plus hotel or like a wellness retreat where people are very much willing to spend more money to take that time to kind of recuperate their mental health due to, you know, everything that's going on right now in the world. So we've seen a 39% of consumers have said that in the first half of 2023, they have already booked such a trip as a wellness retreat or a luxury trip. So that's very, very encouraging compared to what we typically see in terms of people booking that far in advance. In addition to that, we're seeing an uptick in the number of timeshare accommodations that are on the short-term rental space. 84% of owners have had good enough experiences, as they have defined them, with these and would purchase a timeshare product again. So now, in addition to the traditional VR and branching into the hotel-like inventory, we're now seeing this uptick in timeshare inventory as well. And lastly, although a slightly small number, this is super impactful. In September, it was announced the travel price index declined by 1.8%, which means that while inflation is still very high, the relative cost of travel itself is becoming cheap, a little more achievable and accommodating for guests. Last point here that I want to highlight is that sustainability is coming more and more into the focus as something that prospective guests value. They want to ensure that when they're traveling, they have a lot of options. And so they want certain pieces like morality to line up with the products that they are spending their money on. And we found that 71% of travelers want to make more effort in the next year to travel more sustainably. This was a statistic taken from booking.com. We found 38% of travelers actively look for information about the sustainability efforts of a property before they book. And 78% of global travelers intend to stay in an eco-friendly vacation rental this year. So what does an eco-friendly vacation rental look like? What are the types of traits that we typically look for that people are trying to see? Prop tech is a great eco-friendly concept to get involved with. It's becoming a must for property managers in the short-term rental space. And guests are becoming accustomed to tech solutions on vacation. So that's like keyless entry, fully monitored water systems, smart thermostats, speakers, and smart lights. Mostly the thermostat is the piece here that is more sustainable than everything else. Bluetooth speakers aren't particularly green compared to wired speakers. But these are the types of automated technology components that people are looking for that indicate a more sustainable stay. The big players are spearheading the charge against climate change too. Expedia has recently outlined a new social impact and sustainability strategy, saying that they wish to focus on inclusive pathways for underserved travelers, economic advancement for underrepresented communities in the industry, and a prosperous planet for generations to come. This is a really interesting balance that we're seeing today, where the morality needs of guests are pushing larger companies to actually match those desires for the greater good, which is nice. So it's kind of like capitalism working for the greater good for once. No, I'm kidding. So that's great to see. And you may be thinking, in the name of like today's topic, what does sustainability have to do with owners? We're talking about the balance between guests and owners. I've been talking about guests looking for these sustainable traits of properties, but what does it look like on the owner side? At the end of the day, they're the ones footing the rising energy bills month over month. So they want to look for owners that invested in sustainability 10 years ago, who may have solar panels powering their entire properties. Their bottom line is going to be strengthened by this. So thousands of dollars a year saved on electricity, gas, repairs, et cetera. It makes it even more valuable for the owners themselves. So this is kind of a double-sided coin of value here for sustainability. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and hand it over to Brooke and Joseph. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Well, excited to be here, y'all. Thank you very much. We've got an exciting presentation here for you. We have a ton of information we're going to be going over in a very short period of time. Luckily, this call is being recorded, and also we are happy to share a copy of this presentation if you want. If you just go to vintory.com/guesty, we can share a copy of this slide deck as well as a bunch of other information. So with that said, I'm going to toss it over to Joseph, who's going to kind of give a little bit of background of his business model. Then we'll keep going. Take it away, Joseph.
Thanks, Brooke. So, Joseph Kitt, COO of Bright Host Vacation Rentals, based out of Asheville, North Carolina. And from a management model standpoint, I mean, we are basically a traditional property management company. We do not do rental arbitrage. We do not do guarantees. We basically manage single-family homes across Western North Carolina, and we effectively have a 75-25% commission split with all of our owners, and that's pretty much our management model. And as I mentioned, we're based out of Asheville, North Carolina, which is marked by the star there on the map, right in the middle of the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains. And we can bring in that other slide. This is a little bit of a blow up of Western North Carolina. These represents the properties that we currently manage. And from the top right of the screen in the high country of Beech Mountain and Banner Elk to the bottom left of Bryson City, that constitutes about 160 miles. One of the unique things about Bright Host is the sheer footprint, the size of the area that we currently cover. As well as some of the diversity of the homes that we have in our portfolio. We have luxury lake properties. We have ski in, ski out properties. We have rural mountain cabins, and we have some urban properties as well, really to cater to a diverse customer base across Western North Carolina. By the numbers, we were founded in 2021, roughly 16 months ago. We have 4 full-time employees, about 10 contractors in our service and maintenance and our cleaning divisions. And as I mentioned, we currently manage about 50 properties. Tech stack, super important. For us, it's very important that we understand really what the ROI is for any tech that we bring into our business model, not only from a monetary standpoint, but really from an efficiency standpoint as well, which obviously equates to dollars. The engine under the hood for us is Guesty. We've been a partner of Guesty from the beginning. In the early days, we were on the Guesty for Host platform, and then grew out of that and switched over to Guesty for Pros in July of this year. Ventori, my business partner, and I have very ambitious goals in terms of how quickly we want to grow our inventory. So we partnered with Ventori to accelerate the rate of owner acquisitions. And that's been really great for us. And we've seen definitely fruits of our investment with Ventori. Price Labs is our dynamic pricing software to help us maximize our booking and occupancy. Rank Breeze is a tool that helps us understand where our rankings are on the Airbnb table, and we're able to optimize our listings to make sure that we're high on the rankings for the various OTAs. AirDNA, we use that also to give rental projections to realtors in our market for where they have clients looking to invest in short-term rentals. And of course, we're hoping that we can manage those rentals if they do move through with the purchase. Constant Contact is a marketing tool that we use for email marketing, social media marketing, and marketing automation. Monday.com is a project management tool that we use basically to organize all the information for new property onboarding and new property launches. And then Airtable is our database for owner and property information and some of our trust accounting information as well.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks, Joseph. So, and welcome everybody again. My name is Brooke Fouts. I'm a founder and CEO of Ventori. Ventori, we are a sales and marketing platform that helps professional short-term vacation rental managers grow their inventory. So we focus on one thing and one thing only, and that's it. We don't do anything on the guest side. We don't do anything with operations. We focus exclusively on helping professional vacation rental managers get more inventory or supply or properties or owners, whatever you want to call it. So we got a packed schedule here today. Here's what we're going to be going over today. We're going to talk about, first off, we're going to talk about the value of inventory. We're going to talk about positioning and messaging, landing pages, and why it's probably one of the lowest hanging fruits out there to help you get new inventory. Talk about data. Talk about how to execute an omni-channel marketing strategy, and talk about CRMs and marketing automation software, leverage effects, inbound marketing, referral marketing, and then we're going to throw you a little bonus here at the end. So again, we've got a ton of information. We're going to be going super fast on this. Again, this call is being recorded, as well as you can go to ventori.com/guesty and download a copy of the presentation. So let's kick it off. Oh yeah. So I did write a book called From 0 to 500 Properties in 5 years. That was taken from my experience of launching a company called Vantage Resort Realty in Ocean City, Maryland, that I built, and we grew that company. Guess what? From 0 to 500 properties in 5 years. So a lot of this information on this slide deck was based off of this book. So we are going to be giving a free copy of this book digitally to anyone, again, that goes to ventori.com/guesty. You can download a free copy of it at the end. So let's kick it off. So before we kind of dive into the strategies on how you actually grow your inventory, I think it's important to understand just how valuable each one of those contracts is for your rental program, because the true value of your company, guess what? They are those contracts. They are not your guest database. It's not your beautifully wrapped trucks. It's not your cool office. The true value of your management company is each and one of those contracts. So I want you to associate every new contract that you get as a pile of cash, because that's exactly what it is. So the thing, though, is the value per contract depends. It depends on a couple things. A small operator on the coast of Maine is going to be very different than a property manager called Aspen or Maui, right? Personally, I've seen contracts go for as low as $7,000 a contract, and I've seen them go as high as $50,000 or $75,000 a contract. But the typical average is between about $15,000 and $30,000. So our team at Vintory, we actually did an analysis of public records and the valuations per contract. And here's what the data tells us. So when Vacasa purchased Wyndham Vacation Rentals a couple of years ago, they paid $18,000 per contract. If you look at their investor deck from this past July, or I'm sorry, a year ago, July, they said that they paid on average $21,000 per contract. But here's the thing. They still had a 25% IRR, internal rate of return, post paying $21,000 per contract. And their numbers are actually increasing. They're paying much higher now. All right, if you look at Vitruvian Partners, a private equity company out of UK, they paid $27,000 a contract for Sykes holiday cottages. And then I was on a panel with a gentleman named Jacoby Olin. Jacoby runs C2G Advisors. And he said publicly that, and if you don't know who C2G Advisors are, they've done more M&A transactions in this space than anybody out there. They did $185 million worth of transactions last year. And Jacoby actually broke it down in aggregate. What is the average value per contract across the 185 million? And it came out to $33,000 per contract. So to me, that is probably one of the most effective comps out there that you're looking at, $33K per contract. And then look at this outlier here. When Vacasa bought Turnkey, they paid $103,000 per contract. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, hey, Brooke, and I'll tell you, your numbers are spot on. And about a year into Brighthouse business, Vacasa came and did a valuation, and we were at 37 properties and just under $1 million, which equates to really $27,000 per management contract. And, I tell you, when we realized really what the true value was, whenever I'm sitting across the desk or across the computer screen from a potential client, all I'm seeing is dollar signs, because that is exactly what these management agreements are. And you're spot on with the numbers.
Yep. Well said. All right. So actually, Joseph, you want to handle this one?
Yeah. Just as you were saying, the value of inventory, really understanding the value of the inventory at exit. And even on a conservative basis at $20,000 a property, and we just found out that ours were worth, $27,000, but conservatively 50 properties, you have a business worth $1 million, and if your intention is to grow that business, over 3 to 4 to 5 years, and you get up to 250 properties, you put $4 million on the bottom line. You just increase your business by $4 million. And look, I don't know about you, but I cannot imagine a better lever you can pull to build net worth. It's not in stocks. It's not in bonds. It's certainly not in crypto. It's in property management agreements.
This is true. All right. So let's, when we consult with our partners, whenever, Vintory signs a new partner, we have over 400 companies on our platform. But the first step we do is really digging into their business and understanding how they want to position their company within the market. And this is really, it's a mind shift, right? It can also sometimes be like a paradigm shift. You don't want to be like everybody else. Like, what makes you unique? If you're just like everyone else, guess what? You're a commodity. And then it's just all about a commission rate, and it becomes a race to the bottom. So what I like to do is, and when I built Vantage, I like to reverse engineer it. And it's kind of ironic, but some of that earlier polling talked about, they were more guest-centric, but I actually like to build it from a different perspective and an owner-centric model. And what are the key features I would want if I was a vacation rental homeowner and looking for management? And this is hard for people, right? So you got to differentiate your program. You got to partner with other companies that are out there that really help you differentiate and build out a program where owners are jumping to you to sign up. And that's the quickest way to build value. So the first thing we do when we meet with our partners and we go through onboarding is we actually build out their key messaging building blocks. And this becomes the baseline for all the other marketing communication you do. And it doesn't matter if it's your landing page, if it's your postcards, if it's an owner presentation, or really anything that's geared for new owners. And what's so nice about it is once you actually go through this and you go through this process, it is a great document you can reference anytime you need to do any sort of owner marketing. So these are the 7 key messaging building blocks that should be included on all owner marketing that you do. So you have unique selling proposition, or often known as a USP, your features and benefits, and you'll sometimes have anywhere between 4 and 12 of them. Social proof, also known as testimonials, trust icons, compelling offers, risk reversals, and you got to have a good call to action. Now, unfortunately, I could do an entire presentation. Actually, I'm doing a VRMA workshop on Sunday where we're actually going out, where we're actually building this out. I mean, I could do an entire presentation just on these. We obviously don't have enough time to do that today. But again, if you go to vintory.com/guesty, you can download a copy of this key messaging building blocks worksheet. We give we explain what each one of those key messaging building blocks is. We give examples, and then you can kind of cut and paste and kind of make your own really, really easily with this. But again, what's nice about this is once you build this out, you have a nice document you can use for all your marketing in the future.
Yeah, Brooke, and this really resonated with us at BrightHost. Early on, we didn't have a real clear messaging strategy, and this really helped us create much more of an owner-centric and owner-focused business model in terms of helping us grow our inventory.
Again, download this at vintory.com/guesty. All right, let's talk about some landing pages here. So you can, again, consulting with over 400 companies, one of the biggest mistakes I see time and time again is just not having a good landing page on their website for new property owners. And it's probably one of the simplest things to fix that has an immediate ROI. And it is the lowest hanging fruit. Because here's the thing, you have all this existing traffic coming to your page, but most property managers, most short-term vacation rental managers, they don't have an effective landing page designed to convert new owners. You're spending all this time, money, and effort on the guest side, but the owner side has been seen as an afterthought. So if you only do one thing after listening to this presentation, this would be it. Update your landing page using the best practices. Use the key messaging building blocks worksheet we talked about earlier. And we're also giving away an infographic guide on building out an effective landing page. Again, go to vintory.com/guesty. You can download that. It's just a great way to figure out how to optimize your landing page.
Yeah, Brooke, when you guys finished building out the BrightHost landing page, we quickly saw an uptick in the traffic that was coming to the site, which ultimately has led to an increase in conversions. Traffic turned into leads turned into conversations, and a lot of those conversations are turning into deals.
Yep, it's the quickest way to do it. All right, let's talk about data. So it is true what they say. Data is the new gold. Data is one of the most underestimated tools for inventory acquisition. Rob Holderness, my VP of Demand Gen, is probably one of the sharpest marketing minds out there. He says all the time, 50% of marketing, Brooke, just comes down to your list. So where do you get that list? There's a couple different sources out there. Now, I do want to note, I'm sure there's a lot of international people here. Unfortunately, this slide is more focused for the US market where data is readily available. Unfortunately, outside of the US borders, it is challenging to get. So again, just put that with a little asterisk here. So first up is tax records or MLS. This is the first place you should go. It's usually the most accurate, most up to date, and it's also the cheapest because usually very often it's free. Unfortunately, sometimes you can only download one record at a time. If that's the case, then obviously that's not logical. So what we recommend is just going to a list broker. There are millions of different list brokers out there. Just Google them. There's Info USA. There's Exact Data. Again, there's a ton of them. Two things to note though, if you do hire a list broker, the first is make sure they have the ability to do. They want to search for absentee owners. Absentee owners are where the mailing address and the property address are different. And when that happens, that's usually a good indicator of a real estate investor. Second thing you want to do is make sure they have the ability to do appending services. Appending services means they can fill in kind of any missing information. So if you've got the target you're going after, you've got the property you're going after, they can do what's called a reverse append to actually get the mailing address of that property and the homeowner's name. And then they can also backfill in some additional information like email and phone. And we'll talk about why that's important later, and it's not what you think. Up next, one that's often overlooked is vacation rental permit data. Well, guess what? If you live in a city, a county, or township that requires vacation rental permits, guess what? There is a list out there for you. You just have to know where to ask and know how to ask. Very often, they make it very challenging. In some markets, it's very easy. You just literally go onto a website and download it. Very simple. Some markets, you literally have to go down to the courthouse. You have to brown nose the little old lady behind the counter with some cookies and brownies and things like that to get this list. And she'll even then probably push back on you a little bit. If they push back on you, just mention these 4 words: Freedom of Information Act. in the US. If you mention those 4 keywords, they have to give you that list, and it is available. Last but not least is scraping data. Guess what? You can scrape any data. We scrape the OTAs. We're scraping Airbnb and Booking.com and TripAdvisor and Vrbo and everything else, and get that data. That's super valuable. You can also scrape large venture-backed conglomerates. Wink, wink. You can scrape your competitors. You can scrape your competitors that were purchased by said large venture-backed conglomerates. It's honestly, I have no idea how to do it. It's a lot of work, but we just hired people. We have 4 data scientists on our team that go ahead and do that. And they pull that information. They're pulling that information. We found those people on Upwork. If you're not familiar with Upwork, it's a freelancing website. Great site. Tons of data scientists on there. They can do the scraping of the data for you, make it really easier. But once you get all this data, you can kind of pull it together and you have a really nice database.
Yeah, Brooke, and labor intensive is an understatement. We found that these data tricks do work for producing leads, but the sheer amount of time and energy it takes to go through all these, it's extensive. And, personally, Brighthost has chosen inventory to do the heavy lifting for us. But the key is targeting the right leads, and you're able to take all of these different tricks, but you need to make sure you're focusing on funneling out, the right leads that work for you and your business model. And again, Ventori does that for us, but if you're choosing to do it on your own, make sure that you're targeting the right leads.
Yep, so true. And one thing to note, especially in the US here, is if your state falls under real estate laws, a lot of times the real estate laws, they frown upon the soliciting the listings of other brokers. So just again, I just want to put a little caveat out there, make sure you're following the your local regulations and laws. All right, so let's keep going with our next topic. It's omni-channel marketing. So this is a big one here. So Ventori is not only, we built a software platform, but we're also a full sales and marketing agency. And we execute this omni-channel marketing strategy that you see right here on behalf of all of our partners. So you may say, Brooke, why omni-channel? What's the benefit of omni-channel? The benefit of omni-channel is by combining all these strategies, it has a compounding effect, right? It is the definition of synergy. It's the 1 + 1 = 3. And the old days of just like lobbing out 1 postcard per year, they are long gone. And they are for, I would say, yesterday's managers. So today's most progressive top vacation rental managers are executing this proactive omni-channel marketing approach you see here. And again, by doing so, it has like a boost effect with all the other campaigns, where they really are just like helping each other out. And we're going to go through each one of these and break them down into their own hacks. So let's kick it off first with direct mail here. All right. So direct mail is not dead. The vacation rental industry is one of the few industries where direct mail still works. So Brooke, what are the hacks? First up, remember what we talked about before? You're going to hear this every single time. Use those key messaging worksheet that we talked about before, right? Make sure you're using all those elements, your USPs, your features and benefits, your call to action, your risk reversals, your compelling offer. Just make sure you're following all those. Next up, the key here is consistency. I'm going to say it again. The key is consistency. I'd much rather send 1,000 postcards 6 times a year to the same target over the course of a year than 6,000 postcards one time. There's a compounding effect. The ROI is there, trust me, and the math pencils out. You only need like a 0.5% response to a 1% response and an average conversion rate for the math to actually pencil out on doing this. In fact, Vacasa knows about this. They understand this. I read that they actually mail 7.5 million mailers per year. 7.5 million mailers per year. And that's because their organic CAC, or customer acquisition cost, it's 1/3 of their cost on M&A. They're paying $6,700 on an organic CAC versus $21,000. Also, here's the thing too. Try things differently. Like, don't just do what everybody else is doing. Postcards work, but try different things. So we've had a lot of success with these handwritten notes. So if you see this, it's like a robot. It holds a real pen and it writes a handwritten looking letter. And you would never know it wasn't written by a human. These things sometimes get 4, 5, 6 times the response rate as other ones. But you also want to do it in combination. So we usually we'll start off, we'll send a postcard, then we follow up with a little handwritten call like, hey, hope you saw our postcard or something like that. if we have these obviously at Vintory, but if you're not on Vintory platform, there's a company called Handwritten with a Y, handwritten.com, that you can actually get these letters done. All right, let's talk about some PURLS and personalized URLs and QR codes. So if there's only one benefit from COVID, it's I think people actually understand how to use QR codes now. And you can now leverage this with direct mail. And if you combine it with these personalized URLs or PURLs, you can take what's traditionally been this like very analog experience and make it into a digital experience. And it's been really effective. And yeah, it's a good way it's a new call to action, right? So you still want to put in there a phone number, you still want to put in an email, you still want to put in a landing page specifically. But if you do this, you can do some really cool stuff to kind of track it.
Yeah. And Brooke, this stuff works. I'll tell you, I mean, I'm always asking, leads or potential leads, how did you hear about BrightHost? Because we want to know, are our marketing dollars actually working? And, folks oftentimes say, man, we've seen you everywhere, between direct mailings or emails or banner ads and whatnot. And, it's interesting. A guy recently said, look, I do see you guys everywhere. And I thought to myself, if these guys are half as good at marketing to guests as they are marketing to owners, they've got to be pretty damn good at it, at what they're doing. And we are, but it was great to hear that. So.
And again, this was done with Easy Pearl, and it's a great way to do leverage these personalized URLs. So if you combine those QR codes and PURLs with a CRM that has marketing automation, you can trigger automation based on your targets just hitting the landing pages without them having to fill out even a form, right? It's like turbocharging your direct mail efforts. And as I said before, it's like taking what's traditionally been an analog experience and taking it, making it digital. So again, this is a total baller move. Your competition is certainly, not doing anything like this. All right. Next strategy is to fill your pipeline with a consistent funnel of leads by converting cold leads into warm leads and new leads into hot leads. So we're talking about cold email outreach here. So my hack is twofold. First up, if you don't excel at writing direct response copy, and there is a definite art to this, it is very difficult and it's kind of counterintuitive. Hire a great copywriter. Again, find them off of Upwork, find them off of Fiverr, but find them one that is a pro at this and specializes in direct response copy. Those are the keywords you need to search for, and have them write a couple campaign templates for you that are designed to convert. Again, such an art to this. The second piece is automate your cold email outreach using a service like Mailshake or Lemlist. They will ensure your emails are getting delivered to the inbox and they're not going to spam. So for me, this was a huge surprise. I never thought people actually responded to cold email outreach because I get them all the time. But guess what? They actually do. We have a partner in Kauai. First email campaign we sent out, he got 2 deals off of. $100,000 per property is what those properties were doing. So $200,000 in gross booking revenues from one property. And then he ended up signing up another owner from that same email campaign. I think it was like 2 or 3 months later. So $300,000 in gross booking revenue from one email campaign. I definitely say it works. I mean, Mailshake and Lemlist are super inexpensive. I mean, they're less than $30 a month. But again, if you don't know how to do it, I would definitely recommend hiring somebody that does. There's a lot of different things up there. You don't want to burn your domain. And there's a couple different strategies you can kind of deploy there. All right, let's talk about pay-per-click. So here's the thing. Paid search traffic, it can be great because people are looking to take action. People have high intent of what they're looking to do. If they search for, short-term vacation rental management in Asheville, like it's pretty obvious what they're looking for. But the problem is, the downside is the search volume is so low. So, but it does work. You only need 1 or 2, per month or even per quarter for it to be worthwhile. So to do it though, you need to cast as wide a net as possible. So at Vintory, we have a full digital marketing team. We found and researched and tested the best 50 to 70 unique keyword concepts. Yes, 50 to 70 keyword concepts that work on paid search. And you kind of see some examples here. But what ends up happening is, again, like, how do you figure out where you get these things? How do you find out where you actually get these search tools? There's a couple different really cool tools called Ahrefs and SEMrush. This is how we find it. So the hack is, again, make sure you're leveraging tools like these to find those long tail keywords and make sure you're casting a really, really wide net to capture all the different search terms you need. And unfortunately, say what you will, but like Airbnb management, Airbnb hosting, or those words actually come up. So I know we're not an Airbnb, and there's this big movement for that. But guess what? That's what unfortunately the public is searching for. So you need to make sure you're putting Airbnb in some of those terms. All right. Another key digital advertising hack is to use what's called list-based retargeting. It's also known as custom audiences within Facebook and Instagram. So list-based retargeting has been a game changer. Previously, the only way to get in front of your prospect targets was through direct mail. But now with list-based retargeting through Facebook and like even Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn, you can serve up your display ads directly at your targets. So this is not like triangulating or lookalike audiences. You're actually serving them up directly to your targets. So how do you run list-based retargeting? First, establish your target list of properties you want to go after. So we talked about data, why it's so important before. So you want to, we call it an ICP, ideal customer profile. Then you do an email, phone append to those owners. Remember when we talked about this at the list broker stage? You want to get that, get those emails and phones, and this is how they match it up. You then upload that list to Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and then you can serve up those display ads directly at your targets. Again, this is a game freaking changer. And what's great about this is if you time this with all your other marketing efforts, like like direct mail, they get a boost effect for all your other marketing. So think about it. You just sent somebody, you've served up your ads on Facebook, you've sent them an email, you're doing pay-per-click ads as well, and then you hit them with a direct mail piece. Again, it's how they all work together that's really, really powerful. A lot of moving parts here. To deploy this, we recommend just using a service like AdRoll to deploy it if you're not on the Vintory platform. Joseph?
I mean, we didn't even know this type of thing existed before, we signed up with Vintory, and, you guys placed retargeting tags on our landing page, so we could capture that traffic and basically remarket. And, again, until you guys brought it to our attention, we didn't really understand the importance and really know that this is something that existed. I mean,
Yep. So another way you can get in front of them, is through IP targeting. So many of you, have maybe not heard of IP targeting. IP targeting is pretty cool. So it allows you to serve up display ads directly on your prospective owners' computers as they surf the web. So we're not talking about their social feeds. That's more of the list-based retargeting. This is more of like websites like Weather Channel or ESPN or CNN or even local news sites. So how do you do it, Brooke? Step one, you want to upload a list of your targets to the IP targeting software. It then will match your target with their IP addresses. It then just serves up those display ads on those target computers as they surf the web. If the CIA ever got into marketing, I feel like this is how they would do it. It almost scares me. Every time I explain this to somebody, they're like, that's freaky how you can actually get their IP addresses. Now, it's not 100% match. It may be only 40 to 60% match. But what they say of the 40 to 60% that match, it has a 99% likely that it is the correct address. So between this and list-based retargeting, for the first time ever, we are able to serve out these digital marketing to targets without having them come to our website first and cookie them. Like, this is a big deal. With the exception of large venture-backed companies, almost nobody is doing this, but it's totally doable by the little guys too. All right, let's talk about some retargeting. So what if I told you that close to 80% of you have a leak in your sales funnel? Well, guess what? It is true. We've looked at over 100 vacation rental management landing pages, kind of secret shop them, and we just kind of see what happens. We leave that page, and the vast majority, by a long shot, do not have retargeting ads that bring us back. And this worries me because we know the vast majority of these, even the best performing landing pages, the majority of the traffic doesn't fill out a form. I mean, I'm talking like as much as like 95% of the traffic isn't filling out a form or taking action. So you want to do whatever you can to bring them back, nurture them, and capture them as a lead. So my hack is two parts. First, be sure to leverage retargeting on your property management page. And second, use Google Tag Manager to centralize your retargeting tags and pixels. It's going to save you time, and you're going to see all your play, keep them in one place. All right, let's talk about direct mail retargeting. This one's pretty cool. So what happens if your website visitors don't use the QR code or those PURLS, right? How do you retarget them? It's called direct mail retargeting. You now have the power to send physical print postcards to prospects who visit your website before they even give you your information. So it works where a lot of this is based on that same technology as the IP addresses. So it works where you're matching the person's IP address. And when they come to your landing page, assuming they don't fill out that form, you automatically send them a specific direct mail piece and help them convert. I actually got this idea from Wayfair. So I was shopping for new patio furniture and I didn't buy anything. 3 days later, I had a postcard in my mailbox with the exact patio furniture I was looking for with a coupon. I mean, this is a total baller move. I ended up called a bunch of different companies, and the company that we ended up talking to, they ended up saying they actually work for Wayfair, which I thought was pretty cool. All right, next, let's talk about getting a CRM with marketing automation. So here's the thing. Whenever I ask professional short-term vacation rental managers if they have a database, do they have a CRM for the guest side, almost all the time they say yes. I mean, north of 90% of the people. And the reason why is they know it saves them a ton of time. They know it helps you get future bookings, and it helps you keep track of all your leads in one centralized place. It's kind of like a no-brainer, right? But then when I ask them if they have a database or they have a CRM for owners, they usually say no. I mean, it's usually like 5 to 10% of them do. And again, this is so shocking because we know how valuable these leads are, right? We talked about this earlier. The value of these contracts, it is a future gold mine. So keeping track of them is critical. So look, it does not need to be fancy. Just track them somewhere, please. Just don't use Post-it notes and yellow legal pads, which many of our partners do, or they did before us. It can be as simple as Google Sheets or just a basic CRM. There's a million different CRMs out there, right? There's CRMs like Salesforce, the 800-pound gorilla. There's HubSpot, there's Zoho, and at Vintory, we've actually built a CRM from the ground up with marketing automation software that actually helps you do this, helps you grow your inventory.
Yeah, Brooke, and we were victims of the Post-it notes, whiteboards, legal pad, CRM initially, and again, understanding the value from an owner-focused CRM, and we use that with Vintory. One of the important things to understand is, at least in my experience, the sales cycle is often, weeks, oftentimes months from the initial time that we have contact with a lead until the time that they're ready to sign a management agreement. And, the long-term marketing automation feature through the Vintory CRM is really fantastic. When we drop those those owner leads in there, it does all the work for us and keeps Brighthost in front of them, in a long-term nurture over time, until they're ready to sign an agreement.
Yep. So if you do get a CRM, here's the thing though, make sure it has automation built into it, right? It's going to save you a ton of time and it's going to convert more leads. And by leveraging these marketing automation that is built into these tools, it's going to increase your chances of connecting with your lead very, very quickly, right? So there's marketing automation platforms like ActiveCampaign, HubSpot, a lot of these other ones. They can really help accelerate the velocity of this. Shameless plug of Vintory, our system has an automation built into it. As soon as you fill out a form, that automation goes to work, right? You're automatically enrolled in the sequences, emails, text messages. It'll even call you or your business development rep the second a form is filled out and do a hot call transfer. So you're saying, Brooke, why is that important? Because what we found is the most important thing is speed and responsiveness matters. Studies have shown, there's a gentleman named Mark Roberge. He says if you call lead immediately or within 2 minutes, you're 10 times more likely to close it than waiting just 1 hour. So again, make sure you respond to these leads. Speed and effectiveness, speed and responsiveness really, really matters. I know we only have about 11 minutes here, so let's blow through this. So let's talk about leverage effects. So what the heck are leverage effects? These are software tools that help you make you more effective in closing more deals. Joseph?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, guys, as I mentioned earlier, the engine under the hood for us at Brighthost is our property management software. And, again, we've been with Guesty from the beginning, so I can't really speak on behalf of others, but we've been extremely happy going from the Guesty for Hosts platform all the way now to the Guesty for Pro. And, we use it every day, multiple times a day. And we're very pleased with Guesty.
Yep. So another leverage effect you can use is call tracking. So call tracking is extremely important. Vintory's platform has call tracking natively built into it, and it's seamlessly integrated with our platform. But if you're not on Vintory, there's some other sources out there. You can use software like CallRail is the one I really like for call tracking recording. So every marketing campaign needs to have a unique phone number so you can track the performance of that campaign. It allows you to do A/B testing on some of your marketing materials. Plus, here's what I like. It records every single call you receive. So you can always go back and coach, whether it's like coaching your business development rep or just go back and listen to the call. Or we've even had cases where, you told an owner something, and then they call you back 3 weeks later, a month later, whatever. Oh, you didn't tell me we had onboarding fees or whatever it was. And you can share that recording directly with them straight from it. So very inexpensive service like CallRail. Another low-hanging fruit, we talked about landing pages, but this is one that if you only do, well, I can't say this again. If you only do two things, it'd be your landing page and update your Google My Business profile. It's actually called Google Business Profile, but most people call it Google My Business. Here's the beauty, it's free. So build out your profile and get reviews from your owners. Obviously cherry pick the owners that really like you and just say, hey, do me a favor, please throw a review on this. Very, very quick, help them out. This has a huge impact. We have a partner, Tristan, out in Arizona. They have proactively gone out there and just done an incredible job of building out their reviews. You can see here just for this one market, they've got 51 reviews, 5 stars. He says that for every 5-star review he gets, he knows it ends up netting him an additional 5 homeowner leads. He said he's getting north of 50 leads a month just from Google My Business. So go out there, build out your Google My Business profile, push owners to leave those reviews. It'll pay huge dividends. All right, let's talk about chat widget. So if you don't have a chat widget, go and add one now. Using chat to your property management page will instantly increase your leads day one. I know some people think they're annoying. I do too. I'm always minimizing them as soon as I go there. But unfortunately, guess what? Or fortunately, they do work. And here's what happened. We talked about this before. You already have all this existing traffic coming to your website. And the vast majority, like 95%, don't fill out a form or contact you. So you just want to, kind of grease the slids. You want sleds. You want to eliminate friction. You want to just like nudge them to convert. And there's this overall like fundamental shift that's happening where people are preferring chat and messaging versus calling and forums and email. So a bunch of great companies out there that do this. There's Drift, there's Podium, there's Intercom, and again, another little plug for Vintory. We actually have a chat widget that's seamlessly built into our CRM. All right, now I'm going to contradict myself a little bit here. So we're talking about all this outbound marketing, but the one that I feel is one of the best ROIs out there is inbound marketing. However, it's hard. It takes time. And I know that 99% of vacation rental managers won't do it. So what's the quick version of inbound marketing? It's interactive content. We're going to talk about a couple different ways you can do it. Joseph?
Yeah, and Brooke, as you mentioned, there's a shift in the way people want to interact with folks. And I mean, initially when, Vintory put this revenue projection tool on our site, it allows folks to come in and they don't have to pick up the phone, that, they don't feel threatened or they have to have an actual conversation, but they really want to know, hey, what does the annual revenue look like for my home? And so with this projection tool, they're able to go on without having to pick up the phone, plug in the information regarding their specific property, and it spits out a real number and real tangible, revenue projection. And then, typically they're going to pick up the phone and reach out to us after the fact. And that's been a great tool.
Yeah, this becomes a lead magnet, and there's sites out there like AirDNA has theirs, but very often it's incorrect. And the last thing you want to do is throw out a wrong number. So the beauty of this tool right here is you actually control the numbers. You log into the back end of Vintory system, and you can actually customize it directly on what your numbers and what your properties do, not necessarily what AirDNA is telling you to do it. So again, as I like to give everybody all the tools, even if you're on Vintory or not, if you're not on Vintory, there's a great interactive calculator builder called Calconic. Calconic is this great tool. You don't even need to know how to like write any code. You build out a little simple calculator, and then you can copy and paste and embed it directly in your landing page, and it'll help kind of convert that traffic and turn it into leads. Again, it's a great lead magnet. All right, we're winding down here. We're number 8. I promise we got 2 more to go. So, Joseph, let's talk about targeting realtors.
Yeah, I mean, at least in our area, guys, we 100% recognized and value the local real estate community, because so many of the leads that come in into Brighthost start out, from our local realtors. And so, if you're not already doing that, I strongly encourage that you spend a lot of time and energy in building relationships with local realtors, but also, targeting these folks from an omni-channel standpoint.
Yep. All right, here we go. What's the number one strategy there, Joseph?
What have you said time and time and time again? Consistency, right?
That's right.
Consistency in everything you do. It's funny. I read the great Tony Robbins said, "It's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives," and I'll paraphrase, and in our jobs, it's what we do consistently. And as you said, the numbers support this. Consistency in everything we do. And I mean, this is human nature. There's reasons why fast food chains are popular. It's consistency. You know what you're going to get every time you go into one. And it's the same thing in our business in terms of how we run our business, how we're communicating with guests, how we're marketing to owners. We have to be consistent every single day. And for us, it's led to success.
Yeah. The partners that we see, and again, we've got data over 400 partners, the partners that consistently have a proactive approach, that do it month in and month out, just like they're targeting and marketing for guests, it works. The partners that we have that try it for a month or 2 or 3 months and then just stop, it obviously it doesn't work. So you just need to be consistent with it. So, and again, we've looked at the value of this, so it's super important to be consistent with that approach. So thank you everybody for attending. Really appreciate it. So again, just a reminder, you can download, if you go to vintory.com/guesty, we're happy to send you all that information. So first, I'm going to send you a digital copy of my book, 3-category best-selling book, From 0 to 500 Properties in 5 Years, all the downloads and infographics we talked about, and a PDF of the presentation. Again, just go to vintory.com/guesty. And if you decide to book a demo with us, happy to give away a $50 Amazon gift card.
I want to get one question off really quick, for one for Brooke and one for Joseph. So we'll start with Brooke. Brooke, you ran through a ton of strategies there. You said if you take away 2 things today, Google My Business and maximizing your landing page are kind of the 2 main strategies that you think are the easiest low-hanging fruit. You mentioned consistency is the number 1 strategy. What would you say is the most aggressive strategy that someone could implement if they're looking to rapidly scale their inventory today, let's say? What should be the strategy that they look into right now?
Well, I hate the word rapidly. So it's a tough question, because you can't just snap your fingers and get new inventory, right? It needs to be part of a long-term proactive strategy. It's kind of like SEO, right? You just don't flip a switch and you're number 1 on Google. It takes time, but the people that do those, small habits, those small incremental things, it does work. But I guess I feel like a politician here. So I guess, I'm still a big believer in direct mail. Over time, it works because you have your targets you're going after. And again, this is more US based because of the list. But you have to be consistent with it. If you just consistently have approach, because people are in different phases of the buyer journey, and your idea is just to move them one step closer. But I guess to answer more of the rapidly question, I would say cold email outreach, if that's done well, that can be done quickly. PPC, because you can get like leads that are coming in immediately. But yeah, that's Again, I feel like a politician. I feel like I dodged your question a little bit there.
It's okay. You laid out a couple there that whittled it down, so I appreciate it. And then in the last minute we have here, Joseph, question for you. How is your company structured today to strike a balance between guests and owners? Do you view yourself as more owner-centric or guest-centric, or balanced, like we asked in the poll earlier?
I definitely think it's a balance, and I think there's going to be times when we're focusing on owners or we're focusing on guests. I mean, at the end of the day, we're out there to maximize occupancy and bookings, and oftentimes that tips into being more guest-centric, guest-focused, and sort of dealing with the owners on the back end. But it's definitely a balancing act, and we do our best to straddle the fence, if you will, knowing that there's always going to be times when one's happy and one's not. But look, they feed after each other, or feed on one another, right? If one didn't exist, the other wouldn't either. And so, like I said, we do our best to keep them both happy as often as we can.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Joseph, and thank you, Brooke, for taking the time to join the webinar today. And thank you for everyone that came through, all the questions that were submitted. As a reminder, we will be sharing a copy of this recording with all attendees. So I know Brooke provided a lot of resources there for you to have as an option. So that will come through later today or tomorrow, depending on when we get the recording finalized from Zoom. So thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day.